Welcome to our YouTube channel. We're so glad that you found us. Please enjoy this inspiring interview with Todd and Pernille Lent Damore. They were interviewed by Yvonne Unger. If you'd like some more information about Todd and Pernille, please visit their website at theawakeningcurriculum.com. For more information on our non-dual community and the free resources we provide, we invite you to visit our website at awakening-together.org. We hope you enjoy the Satsang and hope to see you live in our sanctuary. Thank you and welcome. I'm also very honored and glad to have Todd and Pernille here. I really love the way they work, and I'm happy to hear more about it today. And before we start, for the people who don't know who they are, I'm going to read a quick bio so you get an idea. Todd and Pernille have created the Awakening Curriculum, a comprehensive path to awakening using the wheel of identification, their framing of the Buddhist 10 fetters. The approach provides practical applications to wake up, moment to moment, amidst our everyday life. Together they have more than 50 years of Buddhist practice, and they combine this with elements of psychology, MindBody Trauma Release, and integrated non-dual inquiry to help people live a well-rounded human life, free from attachments and suffering. That sounds appealing and pretty. And there's such an abundance of wisdom and teaching and inspiration that you both just bring together into that space. So I'm just looking forward to listen to whatever you have to share and just kick us off wherever you think might be useful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
much. Yeah. Thank you for
Thank you for having us.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really wonderful getting to reach out to another community that we know. Actually, some of the people who have been working with us also have ties to the Awakening Together community, and so it's nice seeing these different communities kind of intermingling and growing together. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's one of the great things about YouTube and about social media today, that where it used to be that you found a teacher, that you read a book, went to the library, got a book, really liked the teacher, and then you had to travel and do retreats and all of that. Now you can shop about in different communities and finding what is useful and what rings true to you now, because it is like that with awakening and with all type of insights, that you grow on the path, and some things might sound useful and true now that might not be useful in 2 years, and then you have the opportunity to go to different communities and learning from different communities. So we're really happy to be invited to here.
So
Yeah, we could start with by saying that the way that we work with awakening is that the Buddha taught that there are 10 different ways that we identify and that we create suffering in our lives. And those are the 10 fetters, and that is what we work with in the awakening curriculum. And when we say that there are 10 fetters, it's very often perceived that it's kind of like a ladder, something that then you do one and then you do the other and then the next and so on. And it's not really how we work, because there's nothing in life that's permanent. Everything is constantly changing, and you're constantly getting new insights that kind of twist the kaleidoscope, and you perceive your reality different, which means that the information that you get is heard a little bit different now. So the 10 fetters that we work with, it is true that it's like 10 different ways that we identify. There's the identification with a body, my thoughts, which is the first fetter, the identification with feeling and emotion, that we believe that a feeling is true or an emotion is true, that we identify with our rituals, the things that we do. I need a cup of coffee in the morning, that we do things for a purpose. I'm going for a run now because I want to lose weight. I'm going to eat healthy now because I want to live long. All of those types of identification, those are the first three fetters that we work with. And in my opinion, actually, the first three fetters are the most important ones. we call them the foundational triangle because they keep coming back to one another. And in my opinion, whenever you get annoyed or irritated or angry, or whenever you get concerned, or whenever you feel fear, anger, guilt, or shame, or there's always hints back to one of the first 3 fetters. So if you are completely overwhelmed by 10 fetters, then don't really, don't really pay so much attention to any of the other fetters. Start with the first 3. In my opinion, those are the most important ones. If you really, really understand the first 3 fetters, the identification with thought, feeling, and emotions, and doing things for a purpose, if you really dive into those, a lot of things will fall into place.
And in a manner of speaking, even all of the higher fetters, everything from 4 through 10, is really just a more subtle gradation of things that we talk about in those first 3.
Yeah.
I mean, just when we talk about the first fetter, there's the identification with thought. And arguably, the further into the fetters we go, the more we start to recognize that absolutely everything is a manifestation of thought. So even though we're talking specifically in the 4th and the 5th about aversion and craving, and talking about the sense of distance and space and
identification with time,
yeah,
I have a
all,
past, and
exactly,
all that.
and all of those things, what we're actually talking about are how much that element of thought is still present and is still creating, something out of nothing, as we talk about in the 7th fetter. All of those things are still operational as we go forward. And so as you said, kind of the summation of everything is in that foundational triangle of the first 3. And so we can just keep coming back to looking at these things through sort of finer and finer lenses, or zoomed in more and more on the microscope to see things, because every time we come back to them, there's something else that we haven't seen. There's something else that we haven't been able to recognize because, we are still too identified with some aspect of our experience that it's clouding some other, potentially observable, deeper recognition or insight that has been there all the time.
Yeah. So I just want to
Yeah.
finish that like
Yeah,
you said,
sorry.
that the fourth fetter is the identification with all the things we want. So it's basically, if you notice, like the Buddha also talked about, that there's that no matter what you want, when you get it, you're only satisfied for a very, very short period. And then you want something else. It's maybe you're thirsty and you get a glass of water, and then, oh, I'm a bit chilly, and then you get a shirt, and then there's always something else than we want, because nothing is permanent. And noticing all the things that we think will be better if only I have this. We kind of create a scenario where there's another alternative to what is here now. And that is the fourth fetter. The fifth fetter is all the things we don't want. And that is basically, people talking back to you, or people cutting you off in traffic, children not putting on the yellow Wellingtons when they're supposed to, all of those things that we don't want things to be in a certain way. If only my childhood hadn't been like it was, then I would be much better now. So it's all at that fixation we can get of things not being like we want them to be. We want them to be different. And again, it's becoming aware of that there's no alternative. Things are as they are, and we can live in that resistance to things that is just keeping us at a distance to where we're actually at right now. And then we go into what we call the higher fetters, which is where in the sixth fetter, where we dissolve the subject-object delusion, that I am here, you guys are out there, and you guys are different than me because I am here. What we dissolve there is that perception of that there is a difference, that there is a distance between us. In the seventh fetter, it's like Todd said, it's the something out of nothing. Everything you do in your life where you create something out of nothing. That somebody says something and they looked at you a bit weird when they said it. So what did they actually mean? It's probably because all of that is your thoughts. That all of that is you creating something out of nothing. You only know what is actually arising right now. The rest is just mental formations. The eighth fetter is the one where we dissolve all beliefs, because beliefs are tied into our conditioning. All the causes and conditions that created you, the way that you perceive you, is part of the eighth fetter. So when we dissolve that, is also where we remove all places to land on. In Buddhism, it's called the middle way, because wherever you land, we will always point you to the other side. You need to be in the middle. And whenever you land somewhere and say, okay, now I understand it, we will poke to you a little bit like you're a helium balloon. Okay, you cannot land here because that is just another belief. You need to come to the other side of it. And the ninth fetter is the flow fetter. It's where when you're not landing anywhere, you do not identify with a separate self anywhere, and you are completely clear on that everything in its nature is empty of any inherent existence. Then you do not cling to anything, and you just move with a flow in your life. And the 10th fetter is the last fetter, which is that everything, how can I say that? Yeah, we call it the wisdom curriculum, that the wisdom of ignorance, that you cannot know anything for certain. You can only know what you think is for certain. And then we're back to the first fetter, where we believe in thought and feeling and emotion.
Yeah.
But like I started by saying, that the most important things to work with is the identification that we have with our thoughts, with our feeling and emotions, and with doing things for a purpose, because those are the ones that kind of is the foundation of all the other things that I talked about.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a great summary.
Thank you. Maybe I should do this.
And what I also want to say is that that usually some people use the 10 feathers, like you said, as a ladder, and you call it the wheel of identification.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to elaborate on this, because it's a wheel and it's not like a linear process
Yeah.
the way you
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah, we encourage people to work. You have the full awakening curriculum on YouTube, and all of it is available for free, and you can dive in and out of it as much as you want to. And we encourage people to work with all of it. So when you at any point during the day catch yourself in a thought, or catch yourself in an experience where you think it is in a certain way, you can look into, okay, what is the identification right now? Where is this suffering coming from? What is it right now that is activating it? And in the entire curriculum, you have tools to work with wherever you land.
Yeah, I mean, that is the thing. Throughout the past 2,500 years, there have been different variations of the ways that people interpret and use the 10 fetters. And in some cases, it was just to be a series of hindrances, which were a problem, hindrances to awakening through your meditation states. So, in terms of, the eighth fetter was considered conceit, and it was conceit as sort of like a spiritual arrogance. It wasn't the way that we necessarily talk about it now, as being that sort of higher, um, the higher version of the first fetter. In the first fetter, we talk about the identification with self, and it's that kind of gross, large, low self that, every spiritual tradition talks about having to see through, that kind of egoic center. In certain traditions, you get up to what is seen to be the sort of big I, the ground of all being, that sort of thing, and that's what we call the eighth fetter. That is where there's still an identification to a more subtle sense of an I. There's a more subtle sense of can still have a bit of an ego to it. It's not the same kind of egoic sense as the first one, but there's still a bit of identification to that. But in some of the original ways that they talked about it, it was just that spiritual arrogance, that spiritual conceit that I have had certain experiences. I am somewhere further along on the journey, and then that itself becomes a barrier to continuing. So the way that we talk about it, as Pernille said, is the fetters, the way that we talk about them and the way that we see them is they're available all the time, every day. There are some element
Multiple
because
time.
multiple at a time, even because they're just illusions in the way that we process the world. They are sort of foundational, uh, illusory beliefs that we have either taken on by society or that is just kind of built into our genetics, into the biology of the system that clouds the way that we see the world and the way that we envision what I am and what I think you are and everything else is and the way that I believe the world to be. All of that comes online bit by bit as we age. And so we are always, all the time, walking around seeing the world through some of these filters. At least one of them, if not all 10, are at play at any given moment. And so, as you said, the real key to the way that we work with it is it's helpful to do meditation. I'm still a
Mm,
big fan of that. It's helpful to do seated inquiry and that sort of thing. But we're such big fans of inquiring in the moment in daily life when you are recognizing that one of these particular filters is online right now.
mm,
In the moment, to develop that metacognitive awareness, to be aware that in the moment that you are experiencing craving, for instance, to be able to stop before you just go through and mindlessly indulge in whatever that thing is, but to question whether what you're experiencing is even craving, to go into the experience of it, not just the why do I think I want this and all of that, which can be helpful. We can, it can take us down a completely different path if we go the psychological route of why I have built up an addiction to this thing or why I use food as a comfort mechanism or something like that. There can be a lot of insight to be gained there, and it's absolutely fine to go down that way. But we can also deeply investigate in the moment that we're experiencing what we believe is craving, whether craving actually exists, feeling into the body, going into the hallmarks of the sensation that we take to be craving,
mm.
going into all of, like, recognizing all of the thoughts that pop up that are giving you clues that make this sort of mind body organism believe that craving is happening right now, and it has a candy bar as the object of craving, like that is the particular thing that I'm craving right now. So we can break all of that down in the moment when it's happening, and it doesn't have to be some abstract exploration that we do on a meditation cushion. It becomes absolutely practical in our daily life because we start to meet all of these illusions as they show up where they are in their, in a way that makes it absolutely um, uh, integrated into our daily life. A lot of people do tend to we kind of build up those meditation practices that they're great while we're sitting, but then once we get up off the cushion, we fail to make that leap
Build
off of
that
the
bridge.
cushion and
Yeah.
actually, yeah, build the bridge into our daily life. So you still find yourself getting angry at people and having all of these reactions. And so this way here, you're working with it right when you need it the most, and it can have such a lasting impact by doing it that way.
And it is what is super useful, I think, and why we made the awakening curriculum, because it's also with like I said, the identification with feelings or emotions. If you have a feeling, for example, of inadequacy, that somebody is saying something and you immediately feel inadequate, or you feel um, low self-worth, or you feel, that you're not up to par, and you start to have feelings of shame, and you start to have all of that coming up, being aware that none of that is real. It's a programming that is in your system. There is no I anywhere. There is no inadequacy anywhere. You are exactly like you're supposed to be. You cannot show up inadequate. So when you have a belief about you being inadequate, that can be inquired. And what we recommend you to do, obviously, it's great to go to a therapist and all of that, but what we really enjoy doing is to give you tools so you can inquire in the moment when it arises in you. When you have that feeling of inadequacy, that you can go, first of all, acknowledge that this is here. I feel inadequate. A lot of people divert right away, going like, "Oh, silly you! You're not inadequate. Look at them and look at a lot of." So we just divert right away. So the first step is to acknowledge that this is arising right now. And you can do that because it's not real. It's just an underlying belief. So you can be brave in that moment and inquire about it and go like, okay, there's this feeling of inadequacy. Can I be in a body where I feel inadequate? And that is the next step, to have that acceptance, what is arising right now. Still, it's not real. It's chemistry that is happening on you. You don't know why. It might be, something psychological from your childhood. There might be lots of different reasons, and you don't have access to why this is arising in you. The only thing you have access to is, how is it to be you right now, in your body right now, with this feeling of inadequacy? Can you be in a body where this is present right now? And that is a yes or no thing. Either it's yes, I can. And then you just sit with this feeling of inadequacy, just allow it to be. It might also be that, no, I can't. I don't want to feel inadequate at all. Then, okay, can you be with the resistance to feeling inadequate? Because inadequacy is arising right now. You don't want that. Can you be okay with that? So instead of creating resistance to resistance, you then just allow, again, just acknowledge and accept what is arising right now and allow that to be, even though you don't want it to be. But I don't want to be a person that feels inadequate. It's okay. It's okay. Can you be in a body where something is arising that you don't want to arise right now? So it's really putting unconditional acceptance and love and compassion to what is right now. So let's say you're sitting and you have that, okay, yes, I can be in a body where I feel inadequate right now. And then you just start to notice, what does it actually mean to feel inadequate? Okay, I feel clammy hands and I have like this nausea feeling in the solar plexus. And then I get memories about my childhood when I was like not part of the group and I felt inadequate and I didn't understand what they were talking about. And okay, right now, notice there's a difference between this feeling in the solar plexus and the clammy hands, and then you straight went into the past in your mind. You're not here anymore. I would like for you to come back, not be in the past in your mind, but be here right now. What is actually arising right now? Because otherwise we're just in a bracket, we're in the first fetter where we believe in thoughts. So coming back to now, right now, what do I actually feel right now? Okay, I feel nausea, I have clammy hands. And then I can just stand and breathe with that. What does that actually feel like? Just standing here, but it's so uncomfortable. I don't want to feel it. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Can you just stay with this? Can you just notice what is happening? Because nothing is permanent. That feeling of inadequacy cannot stay. It stays about 7 to 11 seconds. Then a thought, because a feedback loop happens when we have a contraction in the body. Immediately a thought is connected to that contraction in the body. So a thought is connected. That thought is then creating new sensory experience in the body that is creating new thoughts. So it's like this feedback loop that is happening. And that is when we go into our minds and then suddenly we are, and then. You're not here. And we want you to break that cycle. We want you to become aware. Okay, that was a thought. This is a feeling in the body. Okay, are those two connected? This nausea I feel in my solar plexus and the clammy hands, is that actually connected to a thought about my childhood? Or is this situation I'm in now actually connected to the thought about my childhood? Or is it something that is arising in the moment that is giving me a feeling of something being connected? That's just another thought. So keep coming back to what is actually, and you're really good at it. You make amazing inquiries to really look in, really pick that apart. Because, okay, so we are now at I have nausea in solar plexus and I have clammy hands. How do I know that nausea in solar plexus and clammy hands is inadequacy? Is solar plexus, nausea, and clammy hands, is that inadequacy? Or do I need a thought connected to this sensation in the body to make it into inadequacy? So what happens to a thought when you don't think it? It obviously dissolves. So you're standing here with nausea in solar plexus and clammy hands. Can you be in a body that is nauseated with clammy hands? Okay. And then you will notice that because you were here, because you stayed here in this moment and did not go into thoughts or into a diversion of any kind, but just stayed here, things will start to be manageable. Because in this moment now, you have a bigger emotional maturity and psychological stability than you did when you were a kid and you experienced this the first time. So this is a way where you start to heal the past in reverse. And that is what we work with in the seventh fetter when we dissolve time, because your past is happening right now in your mind when you think it, just like the future is happening right now in your mind when you think it. And the crazy thing about memories that we have, for example, me being in the schoolyard and being, I wasn't part of the group and having that feeling. What I am feeling inadequate about now, when I'm thinking about that, it's actually not the experience of being in the schoolyard. It's the last time I had this thought, because that is when we click the reboot button. So when you think about any memory that you have about the past, you are actually not thinking about what actually happened. You're thinking about the last time you thought about it, because that was the only thing that was available. So the problem with that is that when we're a child and we have a brain psychology of a child and we have a brain development of a child, the experiences that we have then are experience completely different because we're not mature in any way. But because we're not referring our memories to when it actually happened, but to the last time we thought about it, that experience is slowly growing with us and becoming more and more and more adult, even though the experience wasn't. Does not make any sense. So just being aware of that the feeling of inadequacy that you have, if it's tied into an experience in the past, it's not the experience in the past that you're actually reacting to right now. You're reacting to the last time you thought about it. And that is what when in the material of the awakening curriculum, we call that a post-it. That whenever you have a sensation in the body and a thought is added to it, you just made a post-it. And now you're reacting to the post-it. You're no longer reacting to the sensation in the body that is arising right now. And that means that our life is basically reactions to post-it on post-it on post-it on post-it, because we're not actually reacting to what is arising right now in our body right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah, thank you. I was just wondering, because you did that inquiry all by yourself now, figuring having someone that doesn't exist or maybe exists, I don't know. If we already want to invite people to come with just very daily life issues, so we can just
Yeah,
see how you apply
that would be amazing.
all the
If
things
if
you
one of
just
you
said.
have exactly if one of you have something that keeps coming up in your life, it can be a feeling or a recurring pattern or something that keeps coming up in your life that you would like for us to help you to inquire into the way that we just did. We would love to do that.
Yeah, and you can just raise your electronic hand or your hand and let us know if you have something you want to inquire with Todd and Pernille in real time.
It's a little bit daunting. Good.
Anya raised her hand, and
Anya.
we'll spotlight the two of you so you can see each other, and then, yeah, just go ahead.
Hello, Anya.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm apparently brave enough to raise my hand.
It's quite brave. Quite well done. Well done.
Something that really very often comes up is, on this path, I go from teaching to teaching, from video to video, from book to book, and sometimes I stumble onto something that's so amazing for me and so valuable, and then always the thought comes up, I have others have to know this too. So and so should see this too. I should share this, and it feels like this. I don't know, and yeah, and it's over a longer time, and so in this period, it's certain a YouTube channel I found with beautiful readings of teachings of master of the wisdom of the masters, it's called, but it could be something else in a few months. So I see it's impermanent, but I see it's taking me out of the teaching when I'm listening to it, you know, instead of really sinking into it myself. The thought is taking me out of it because so and so should listen to this too, or this could be helpful for this person. So it's sort of distraction.
Yeah. Yeah, before we go into that, I just want to, the first thing I want to say is it's a beautiful thing that you want to share something that you experience with other people and you want to share it. I really love that. That's really nice. The second thing I would like to just to ask before we start the inquiry, is it a feeling of them validating what you have seen, or is it about them seeing you? Are you maintaining something when you are sharing, so they see you in a certain light of you always finding the good pages and the insight, or is it more a distraction or a diversion of you actually taking the teaching in, or is it them seeing the video and then you can work together with it? And so that, because
I think
there can be many underlying reasons to it.
Yeah, I think that should be the inquiry, because maybe part of it is that I want to be helpful, and then that I'm acknowledged as a helpful person when I give some valuable links to someone. But it's also the joy I experience with it, or that's also part of it. That I just this is so just the amazing that it amazes me. And maybe then that I'm looking for validation, that it's not enough, that I'm totally amazed by it. Someone else should acknowledge that too, and then it's truly amazing. So maybe I'm also looking for validation in that sense. So
can you tell us more about your experience of, like, specifically what happened? So you find a video or a channel that you really like. What is your experience like to begin with when you first have that, oh, this is wonderful experience? So we'll stop there while you.
Yeah, the first, it's just I'm taking it in, and it's just my experience, my absorbing it, you could say.
And is it, is there a certain aspect to the videos or the channels that you find that there's, like, is there a commonality that gives you that triggers something in you? Because what I'm trying to get to is, how exactly do you experience that sort of positive affect that comes on when you find something that you like?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Sure. Yeah. Sorry. So when you find a video or a channel that you like and it gives you that wonderful something, I'm trying to get a sense of what specifically it is about that channel or that teaching or whatever it is that hits you as being particularly wonderful, because I think that's important.
Yeah, of course, I'm referring to different things. So let me see. So one of them, I become more specific. It's a channel. It's from a Buddhist nun, and she has a channel called Wisdom of the Masters. and she reads teachings from all kinds of, maybe you know it.
Jayasara?
Yeah. And
she's wonderful.
her voice is so, I don't know, even her voice is so beautiful, and she can read anything and in such a beautiful manner. So I'm deeply touched, but with whatever she reads, and I have my preference currently, I'm really immersing myself in the teachings of Wu Xin. I don't know if it means anything to you, but so it's the whole atmosphere, the words she's speaking, the yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's helpful.
Yeah. So it does help. So you have this experience. You find her channel. You listen to her voice, and she does have an amazingly lovely voice. It's just, it really, I get what you're talking about with that. You find something that speaks to you. What in that moment now stops you from completely just absorbing into the sound of her voice, completely absorbing the teachings that you're hearing? Do you notice any sort of restlessness, discomfort, something?
Fear.
Yeah, I think I feel an emotion here that it has to do with loneliness. That somehow this that it's so beautiful, but I'm alone with it. I think that I feel at this moment that this is touched.
Good.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So when you feel that, can you then, well, have you had a long-standing issue with loneliness? Has that been a current theme in your life?
I think so, since childhood, yeah. Yeah, this that I can have these intense feelings inside, and I don't know how to share or express, or yeah, it's so, yeah, I think, yeah.
So the mind immediately propelling you to say, popping up the idea that, oh, I should share this with so-and-so, I should reach out. That is effectively your way of deflecting from actually being with this deep, deep, long-standing feeling of loneliness that is here. This is the way we do one thing is generally the way we do everything. And so when you have one aspect of, this loneliness showing up in one aspect of life, you're doubtlessly going to find it at other times in the day. So this is one place where it's wonderful it's come to your attention. And it also has had a very benevolent disguise, because it's also, but I'm sharing wonderful, wise teachings with other people and they're enjoying it. And that gives it this kind of air of okayness where, yeah, but I don't have to look at this now because this is actually a kind thing that I'm doing. So first of all, I applaud you at recognizing that there was still a deflection about that it was still kind of a defense mechanism to keep from actually having to encounter something else. So then we can work more with that, being with that feeling of loneliness. So what does it really mean to you when you're sitting there meditating, lying on the couch, sitting up, whatever you're doing when you're listening to Jayasara, and you hear something really wonderful? What is not enough right now about you having this wonderfully integrated experience with Jayasara? Can you feel what comes up?
Yeah, I feel tears hiding behind the eyes, that sensation, and I sort of feel the connection with the little me when I was a child. Not a certain moment, but more inadequacy of sharing emotions, maybe.
Can you say more about that?
Yeah, that's I think unsafe. You know, when I share this that I'm deeply touched by it, someone else could totally how do you say it?
Invalidated.
Invalidated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so how stupid are yeah, just you're stupid to yeah, so it could destroy it in this second. That person, probably one of my parents, could destroy it in an inch of in a milliseconds just by their look at me or their yeah.
So there are a couple things here that this is pointing to. I love that you have that recognition. In this, though, there is then an identification with your thought in terms of, I enjoy this thing, so that is a direct reflection of me, that there's something in here which this is talking about, right? There's also the aspect where it feels unsafe for you to have your own opinion, to like what you like, and to be safe in the conviction that you like what you like, even if somebody else doesn't share that same view, the same view as you do. So where we really need to put attention is on that feeling of your okayness with the validity of your experience. If we have any sort of need for other people to validate our experience, it puts us in a really precarious position, because we need other people to agree with us. Otherwise, we feel like we're all the time. Otherwise, we feel like we are somehow in mortal danger.
Yeah, I recognize that. That's yeah.
Yeah.
That's I think still a belief probably that I do need that validation from an authority figure or an
yeah. There's a period in our lives when we are between 2 and 3 years old, where we are very dependent on our parents. And what I'm saying now, it's not going to talk to your conscious mind at all, because you can't remember what happened when you were between 2 and 3 years old. So it's more that what I say, I would like for your body to receive what I'm talking about, and you just feel it, and there's a resonance or there's not a resonance. When we're between 2 and 3 years old, when something happens, the example I always use is that you wake up in the middle of the night and you have had a bad dream, let's say, and you lie and call on mom and dad, but they can't hear you because they're in the living room and the TV is on, and you're really, really scared of being in bed, and you're too scared to get out of bed and go into the living room. So you're just lying in there alone and calling on them. When they don't respond, at that age, we can do two things. Either we maintain the relationship with the parents. So I still love mom and dad. Mom and dad are still there for me, but I can't trust me because my body tells me I'm scared, and there's nothing to be scared of. There's no, trolls in my bedroom. But mom and dad, they are still my gods. I still trust them and believe them, and I still need their validation for whatever I feel, because I can't trust me. I can't trust my body. I can't trust my signals. My body is not to be trusted. I'm not to be trusted. That's one thing. The other thing we can do is that we detach from the relationship from mom and dad and become very, very self-dependent, very self-reliant. I am the only one I can trust. I'm the only one I can rely on. I will always succeed. I'm not really that bothered what other people think. I am more about what works for me. So we do no longer have a relationship with others. We maintain the relationship here, or we do no longer have a relationship here. We maintain the relationship there. And what you describe when you talk about that when you see something, you feel that aloneness, that you're sitting and experiencing this alone. So now you need mom and dad to acknowledge it and say, this is great. And then you can think it's great. Then you have shared it with them. It's not only in you, but it's a shared experience, and that validates it. The experience becomes more real because you're sharing it with someone. It's not enough that you just think that it's great to sit and listen to. When we have that, what Todd is pointing to now in his inquiry with you, it's acknowledging that a programming has happened of your psychology and your biochemistry at a very, very young age. It has shaped your entire nervous system, and this is who you are in all situations in life, in your job, with your colleagues, with your boss, in your families. This is how you are because this is how your biochemistry and your nervous system is shaped. And there's not really a choice in doing differently because you're shaped this way. It's like a bucket holds water because that's the shape it has. What we can do is that we can heal in reverse. And that is what Todd is now doing with you with the inquiry. That you are, the feeling you have of being alone and needing the validation of you so you are not alone, that is old. That is old. But the experience of it is brand new. It's happening right now. And that is what we would like to do with you with the inquiry. To
Is
kind
it sort of that I say to myself, it's okay, that I
is for you to stay with the feeling of being alone.
yeah.
Do not divert from it. And you tell yourself, it's okay, Anya, I love you, I'm here. You can feel alone. It's okay to feel alone. You do not need to feel there's something wrong with feeling alone. It's okay to feel that you're alone.
Yeah.
And a beautiful thing while you're doing this, and this is where it's really important to make sure that it's embodied and not just cerebral.
Intellectual, yeah.
Yeah, it's one thing to say, you're okay, it's okay, I love you, you're safe. But the key isn't the words, it's really in the feeling behind it. And one thing to make sure that you're doing is effectively what we're doing with all of this stuff is to lower our resistance to feeling whatever it is that we're feeling. As long as we have resistance to it, we are going to be in some sort of suffering state where things just don't seem okay because I'm resisting the current reality as it stands. The current reality as it stands is there's a feeling in the body which is being interpreted as loneliness or unsafety without validation. And it's okay to just acknowledge that this is the way that it is. And can you feel in the body as you do that, a sort of letting go, a little bit of a relaxing of the tension it's being held residually in the muscles. It's not doing anything except for keeping you a little bit separate from this experience. So we want to make sure that we breathe. Good, slow, deep inhalation and a nice, relaxed exhalation. Good. And really feel on each exhalation if the muscles can just let go a little bit more. And we're not doing this to stop feeling that sensation that we're calling loneliness or lack of validation, but we're doing it so that we can make space for that to be here as well without the resistance to it. we have different options in
Choose the
sorry.
breathing.
Sorry.
Yeah, I saw something else coming up, that the thought I had wanted it to be different then.
Mm.
Yeah. So, and somehow this thought makes me believe that it could have been different.
Exactly.
Yes.
Wonderful. And this very simple but bare kind of inquiry that we do is to acknowledge the base level of everything, right? Based off of causes and conditions, things couldn't have been different than they were, right? And they weren't. And no matter how much our mind can create alternate realities where things happen differently, if only they hadn't said this, if only I had done that differently, if only, we can create an infinite number of those, but none of them actually exist. And we can continue doing the same things, and we do continue doing the same things all the time in our life. And so one of the key things that we have to get used to doing with this kind of practice is to recognize what in our experience right now is the base reality of existence, and how much is being fabricated or overlaid by the mind. How much are we creating a story that something could be different than it is or was? And how much am I just aware of the way that things actually are? And as we do that, as you start to come down to that sort of next level, so you come out of the mind, out of the, well, things could have been different. Now I'm down with, okay, so they were the way that they were. They were the way that I at least currently believe that they were. The way that you currently believe that they were also probably wasn't the way that it was, but it's relevant now. So we stay with that. Actually, I just want to put in as an aside, because it is an important point for everyone, I think, that because our memories are definitely not these infallible recordings, they are best addressed as metaphors for something which is currently viable, that is currently relevant to your life right now. Otherwise, they wouldn't be coming up. The reason that that particular memory is here is because it is a stand-in for something that we probably aren't otherwise aware of, or wouldn't be as easily, it's sometimes easier to remember something from our childhood because it feels at a bit of a distance than to recognize something that's happening right now at work or with our family or something like that. So it's like a
Yeah.
metaphor, a convenient metaphor.
Yeah, well, I think I also know why it's here now so alive, because I started here at Awakening Together with a new program. So I'm sharing in the sanctuary
Oh,
about my, anything.
yeah.
Let's not go into that, but I was so aware after that I was looking for rules while I was doing. What are the rules? How, when will I be a good sharer in the sanctuary?
Yeah.
I was also looking for authority, uh, validation, and there is none. And so, yeah, maybe that's why it's so alive for me now. I don't know, but
Oh, that's wonderful. So we do tend to, get what we need even when we're not expecting it. So that's perfect. Um, and I think it's because, everything is kind of a metaphor that we are creating for ourselves. We're always interpreting the world based on however this system currently is. So your experience in the satsang, in the community, is going to be different based on your needs, in that moment. All of your conditioning has led to your experience of that community being a certain way, which makes it entirely relevant for you. And so the more aware that we are of these things coming up, the more we can really get the benefit out of finding what it's pointing to, and then being able to be open enough to work with it. So I love that you're, recognizing these things popping up, that this is long-standing, ingrained, habitual thought processes. And now this kind of, meta awareness comes on to be able to start to interact with it and deal with it differently than you have through the rest of your life. So going back to feeling that sensation here. So I was saying that, we have the idea of what might have been different, and then we come down to the bare reality of what is here. But then we can go a step further, because that idea of what is here is still often very much an idea. It's still colored. You still have the idea that this is actually loneliness. This really is the way that I think it is. It really is because my parents were a certain way, and because I didn't feel okay to do this, to say, speak my mind back then, and all of these things. But can we go a step further and come down to the raw experience of the sensations in the body that we call loneliness or need for validation, whichever is most alive for you? And we feel the sensations without any sort of valence of positive or negative. We just want to feel it as energy, essentially. And as you get in touch with that sensation in the body, you start to encounter the emptiness of the emotion. That it's not the loneliness that you thought it was, but rather it's just an experience, this energy moving through the system. So can you have that openness of experience to allow that energy to just be and pass through? And if the mind starts coming up with other images or dialogues, just recognize that those are not directly related to the sensations in the body. Those are deflections from being with the sensations in the body. They don't make it anything. They just keep the experience, they keep the attention away from fully integrating with it, from fully being able to be with the raw sensations that are there.
I want to acknowledge that the sensation, it could even be excitement. It could also be joy.
Wonderful. It's exactly right. We have a very limited number of physical sensations in the body. It's just this kind of energetic movement, and it's the overlays that we put on it that create it. It creates a context for it in which we then experience it a certain way, and we decide that it means something else. But what's odd about our experience is that generally we don't really run away from the thoughts. We really usually run away from the sensations in the body. Because even a thought, as ruminate as much of it might be ruminating, even self derogatory and self-hating, the thought itself really doesn't have any weight to it. It doesn't have any real ability to cause suffering outside of the sensations that tend to arise with it. And that's really what make us feel like, depression and anxiety and self-loathing and fear, and all of those things are so unbearable. It's the bodily component, the physiological component that we are actually reacting to, not the images in the mind and the voice in the head. So what we're ultimately doing is to create that distinction between what is imagined, what is in the mind, and what is in the body. And then how much the mind is coloring the sensations in the body and making them into something that they're not. So that the more we have that, well, the less resistance we have, the more we can be with the actual sensations, and the more we can see them as they are, which is not through the many, many magnifying lenses of thought that make it so much bigger and more overwhelming than they really are.
And then you will start to experience that the sensation you have in your body when you hear a video that you really, really enjoy and that you really want to share with someone else, where you initially thought that it was about loneliness and it was about validation from the other person, it might actually be excitement. that you hear something that you're super, super excited about, but because of the stories and the weight that that had, and because it was not inquired into, it kind of took over the experience. So you created something out of nothing. You thought it was about that, but in actuality, it's more about you being really, really happy and content and listening to this, and it giving you a bubbly sensation in the body, and you just want to share that. So it might turn into something completely different.
Yeah, what comes up now is also immense gratitude. Yeah, just yeah.
And
Yeah, for yeah, gratitude in this case to Jayasira. Do I
yeah,
say it
sorry.
correctly? Jayasira, yeah. Yeah, so I also reading a book that really touches me, and gratitude towards the person that has written that book.
Yeah.
Yeah. And feeling connection with
Yeah.
the
And
people.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because that feeling of loneliness, it's not real. It's not real. It's a thought, and there's a sensory experience in the body, and we connect those two and making something out of nothing. You are not the only one watching Jarasara. There are thousands and hundreds of thousands of people watching. You cannot be alone in a community of hundreds of thousands of people.
There's probably millions.
Millions, yeah, probably millions. She's lovely. So that feeling of loneliness, that, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. The proof is there. There are millions of people that are watching her. You cannot be alone in that community. So when you have a feeling of loneliness, this is not true. I can investigate. I can inquire about this. How does it feel to be in a body? And can I be in a body that feels lonely right now? And then you notice, like we said, that you have a thought about, oh, this is an old thing. Know that the past is not happening just because you think of it. It's the present that is happening right now. So what is it right now that feels lonely? Look into that. And like you just did with Todd, where you're completely taking it apart, putting it in to the different components that are there. But when they're together and they're not investigated, it becomes something completely different.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Well done. Well done.
I would also say,
Thank you. Yeah.
sorry, I also just
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
agree with. I'm so sorry. Other things to look into as when this happens in the future too. So you're listening to something and you get really excited about it. When the thought arises, because it probably will, about sharing it with somebody else again, I want you to also notice, first of all, what feels incomplete in this moment if you don't share it. And this is something for you to try in the moment and just see what comes up. What is incomplete about this moment if it doesn't include a share for somebody else? The next thing is, what do I expect to get out of the sharing with somebody else? And it sounds like a very negative way of phrasing it, and it's not to be judgmental, but there is something that you're doing this for the purpose for, right? Even if the answer that comes back is just because I want to share the love and wisdom and joy that I have, okay, great, but that's still something. There's still that still has been doing for a purpose, even if it's something we would consider to be a very lovely, benevolent purpose. So be aware of that, and then also, if you do share it to somebody, what is so important about everything that we do is being able to do things without attachment to outcome. So if you feel like there is any sort of attachment in you that it needs to be received a certain way, then again, that's another little investigation to turn in and, okay, why do I feel like I need this to be accepted a certain way? And that brings us back into where we started from, to find out, okay, what is happening now? And it might be the same, it might be different, but it gives you that starting point as to, can I freely suggest this? And can I be totally okay with them saying, no, it wasn't for me, thanks?
Or never ever watch it.
Or never watching it, or being like, oh my God, that was the most amazing video I've ever seen. I love her. Thank you so much. If you get like a big boost out of that, or a big deficit out of them not watching it or not saying it, then it's not being freely given. It's being given with a lot of egoic attachment. So that's something else to look back into of what do you get? What does the ego get? What does the self get out of the sharing, out of the accepting, out of the adulation, or what does it stand to lose by, them not accepting it or not liking it? And those are all
Yeah.
ways to kind of lead you back into potential variations of this.
Yeah, I see two things now, that whatever the response will be, it's sort of empty.
Mhm.
The response is not giving what I really want. I think
Yeah.
Exactly.
maybe it is the knowing that what I am experiencing, exactly the way I am experiencing, is impossible for someone else to experience exactly the same way. So, and I know that, and maybe,
And also you experiencing that is enough.
yeah,
Enough. You don't
yeah,
need
yeah,
don't
yeah,
need for other people to experience the same thing for it to
yeah,
count in your experience. In your experience, it is enough. And that's why it's important what Todd was pointing to. Really notice, what are you maintaining or defending when you share it with other people? Are you sharing it freely, or do you have expectations to them reacting in a certain way? When you share, can you set them free to react the way that they react? And can you set yourself free to enjoy Jarasara, and you're listening to what she says and you feel that wonderful, wonderful feeling when she talks, and that is enough? You don't need other people to do or say something in a certain way. You're free to experience that the way that you experience it. It is enough that you are experiencing it.
The other important part of that too is that you will never experience it the same way again,
Mm.
right? This is honoring, that is honoring the unique manifestation of this particular now. And to we degrade that as soon as and this is something that everybody does, where it's like you see this beautiful sunset and the first thing you want to do is take
It's
out
like,
your
oh,
phone and take a picture of it and say, oh, I wish I could share it with this person or whatever. You've lost the moment at that point. You are no longer experiencing the sunset. That was your one and only opportunity to experience the sunset in this moment, and you will never experience it the same way again. It will never happen in exactly that same way. So there is a real potency to honoring the power and the because of
impermanence.
thank you, the impermanent nature of everything. There is
yeah,
only one chance at all of that to be this particular way that it is in this particular formulation. So you
yeah,
might never hear Jayasara the same way again.
yeah,
So really enjoy it and absolutely absorb into that
Relish in it
experience
when it's there.
when it's there. Then afterwards, maybe, sure, great. Oh, you know what? I think actually that person might enjoy this. So then you send it, and it's just freely sent. I had my experience with it, and that was amazing. That was the full totality of that experience. And then you send it off to somebody else, and maybe they have their own experience with it. It doesn't have to be anything like yours. Maybe they don't experience it at all. It wasn't for them. It's really letting go and allowing things to be as they are, but for you to be okay having your unique experience of everything, because you are the only one who can experience it that way ever. And nobody else can validate that. Nobody else can do it for you. Nobody else can tell you that your
Or
experience was
invalidate.
wrong.
Or invalidate it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. They can't tell you that your experience was wrong or right. It is your unique experience, and that is the only way that it's ever going to be.
It's kind of like a rewriting of that the goal is in the process.
Yeah.
So the goal for you is to be present in the moment when you listen to Jarasara, and have that wonderful unfolding in you, and enjoy, the sunset as much as you can right now, because it is the moment you are sending it to someone else, then the experience is done. So the goal is in the experience, it's not in what happens afterwards. Then you miss
yeah,
then you missed it.
Yeah, it's beautiful that you point out that my experience is different again and again and
Every
again.
time.
So that's really helpful.
But
Yeah.
it's different because you are never the same. There is no you
Yeah.
that's the same. The Anya that was here before we started to talk is not here anymore.
Mhm.
It's a new Anya that is here now, and that new Anya will hear things in a different way. So the next time you hear Jarosara, it's a new sunset. It's a new experience.
Mhm.
And there's a full harvesting of that experience while it's happening.
Yeah, and I found it so beautiful in this moment that it's new and fresh every time. Instead of regretting that I can't get it back, now I'm
Yes.
focusing
Exactly.
on the freshness of it.
Yeah.
Whatever, maybe it's not at all pleasant or something, but yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
exactly.
you. Yeah.
That
Yeah,
is the
of
core
course.
of equanimity, is to not have to have things be a certain way for us to be able to enjoy it or experience it, but to be perfectly okay just experiencing absolutely everything for exactly as you said. It's that fresh uniqueness of this moment that will never be like this again, and we know it's impermanent. So even when it's at its most unbearably uncomfortable, we still know it's temporary, and we can come down out of that resistance layer that makes it that extra unbearably horrible thing and just be with the actual raw experience of the moment. And that is always fresh, always unique, and always quite, what Pernille always says is stillness, simplicity, and contentment is always there underneath all of the struggling and the thoughts and the resistance to the way things currently are.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
Yeah,
much.
thank
Your
you. That was,
bravery. Thank you for your
Yeah.
bravery for raising your hand and going first.
yeah, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. I just
Okay.
want to just circle a little back to that we hear a lot of people that have had a feeling of awakening where they have seen through self, and they have this feeling of beauty and unity, and where they're in the honeymoon period and everything is just wonderful, and then they lose it, and then they try all they can do to get back to that feeling again. That remembering that what we just spoke with Anya about, that whatever is arising right now has its complete own unique flavor that has never been experienced before. And if you have experienced awakening and you feel that you have lost it, it's only because you're comparing to something else than what is here right now. You're missing out on this wonderful moment right now that is unfolding itself in a very unique way that you have not experienced before. And if we're in that comparison with something we previously have experienced and it was so much better then, you're missing out on what is actually happening right now. This is a new turn on the kaleidoscope. This is how your awakening feels right now. This moment is a new turn on the kaleidoscope. Become aware and completely awake into what is arising right now, because this is a very unique moment and it will never ever happen again, because you will never ever be the same again. So it's right now that it is happening. Yeah.
So I see we have about 17 minutes left, if I'm not mistaken, which
That's
so
true.
so there clearly isn't enough time for a
A full
deep
inquiry,
inquiry,
but
but
if
if
somebody has a question.
yeah, rapid fire questions, anything like that would be amazing. Follow-ups.
What I
Sure.
just want to add is that what I love about this, like it seems like a very personal, individual experience and inquiry, but there's just all the, all the principles, all the teaching is just like in a nutshell is all in that inquiry. Like all the
Yeah.
things you shared, you can just use them for your own life, for your own situations, and yeah, so I really love
Yeah,
that
exactly. We have
uniqueness in a way, right? It's
yeah.
the process is everyone's unique, but then at the same time there is this underlying, like, how can I say,
Universality.
wisdom that,
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, and like we started by saying that the full awakening curriculum is there with all the lessons and all the tools and everything available and it's there for free. So you can dive into whichever lesson of the curriculum that you need to.
We do have people who will say, like, I've only gotten up to the third question, the third fetter, or only up to the fifth or something, and they haven't watched further videos. But we would actually recommend, really, like, it's okay if you don't feel like you have seen through, the earlier fetters or whatever. Take them all in, because they all do, as we talked about earlier, really work in that kind of wheel where we're always bouncing around throughout the day from one fetter to another fetter to another fetter to another fetter. So having a complete view of the map is really useful for doing this kind of work, because then you just have tools for each one, and then which tool to employ to investigate that particular illusion that's online right now. It's not that like, there are prerequisites that you have to have seen through the first fetter before you move on to it just doesn't, we don't work with it that way. It's much more organic, and just like, here's your toolkit, it's fully stocked.
Off you go.
Exactly, off you go. Here's things to look out for, and when this thing arises, try employing this tool and see what happens.
Yeah, so we hand it over to you. Is there someone with a quick question or a quick inquiry?
Yeah, or just want us to elaborate or clarify something. We might have said something where you thought, well, that this is not relevant for me in my life. My situation is definitely different. We have Klaus.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello.
Well, reading stuff or seeing videos or so is often for me something for the mind. And what you did now, not always only, but very often, but what I saw now with the inquiry you do actively, that's something different. You could read it, but you're not realizing, oh, that's my point. So my question is, because I'm sitting here in Europe, in Germany, how could I use that? Is there an online community? Are there online sessions? Yeah, that would be interesting after watching all the videos. I think I will do.
Yes.
Perfect
Yep,
question.
it's a really good question.
Yeah.
But first of all, that, like we said, on YouTube, on the Awakening curriculum, you have the full Awakening curriculum. There is, how many lessons is it? It's hundreds of lessons. Yeah, it's a lot of lessons. On Unfettered Mindfulness, it's our channel where we have inquiries, and there are different inquiries that you can do along with it. Like you said, it is very personal, and right now it was tailored for Anya, but we have inquiries that Todd has made that is, for example, specifically fear of dying, specifically about anxiety, specifically about food, specifically. So there are inquiries that you can use there.
And more coming all the time.
More coming all the time. Then we have a Discord community where there are threads in all the different feathers, but there's also open where you can ask a question, and it's a huge community.
We have almost 400 people.
400 people there, yeah, that will be ready to help you with diving into things, and will ask you questions in a bit the same style that Todd just did with Anya. We also have a monthly inquiry group. The next one is coming up on the 26th of August. You can see it on our homepage when we have the meetings. And that is basically where whatever is on your mind, you bring, just like Anya just did, you bring it, and then we do an inquiry with you and dive into it. We also have a retreat coming up in January. Which is, you can talk more about that.
Yeah.
It's a specific, sorry.
No, go ahead.
You can talk more about that.
Yeah.
And that's all. It's a very, very specific inquiry retreat that is focusing on inquiry.
So we're going to have still writing the inquiries for it, but they're going to be a lot of deep dive inquiries, and it's more of a, for those who have done our stuff in the past, we've had kind of workshops and some retreats that have been very information heavy. And this one coming up in January is a very practice heavy one. There's a lot of periods of meditation, inquiry, some breath work, things like that. The other thing is actually, if you're familiar with the POK, Perfectly Okay community, we give talk/Q&A there once every 2 months or so. So the next one is coming up September 7th, and that's actually going to be like a whole Q&A basically. So there are going to be opportunities there to go into things. And yeah,
Yeah, that's
and
it.
yeah, well, yeah, and also the
Oh, we have
the
the
course,
the
which
course. Yeah.
so we basically compiled all of the first Fetter material from the two channels, and we put it in order, and it like we said, everything else is for free, but we did put this one, it's for $49, and you get access to all of those videos in order. But I also wrote like
A book.
50,000 words,
It's a
basically like
book.
a book of extrapolations, extra inquiries, there's tons of little inquiry pointers for everything to keep pointing you back to different ways to do it. So that's also available on
It's
our
available
website.
on our website, and it's at least a 4 months course that you do where there are inquiries and where there are questions. And because we're very much about we enjoy meditation and we recommend meditation, but in our opinion, the real work is out in the real life. It's one thing to sit and become enlightened in a cave all by yourself and food is delivered. Another thing is doing it in traffic and
Yeah, that's all.
meetings and at the office and with family and all of that. So we are very, the way that we work, it's very focused on how you incorporate it into your life. So it becomes a lived experience. And we plan to do the first 3 fetters as a course, as a foundational course for the foundational triangle. Right now, the first fetter is out, and it's gonna take you at least 4 months to do it. So yeah,
I'm also writing a second book right now
yeah, we're
that
yeah.
hopefully, well, depending on how things go, and it's all about inquiry basically. So
Mm.
there's going to be more of that too coming.
Yeah. So thank you very much.
Yes.
That was
Yeah,
a
thank
quick
you.
one. Thank you.
Thank you for
Yeah,
asking.
yeah,
Thank you for being here.
yeah,
So it seems there's a lot of stuff using it practically with inquiry questions and
yes,
all the things. Yeah.
yeah,
It's really the foundation of how we work. So if you go through all of the Fetter material that we've made, it's really all about getting directly into your experience and
Mhm.
basically breaking apart, the sort of conventional reality that we have all lived through, and just take surgically going through and dissecting it bit by bit to
yeah.
find out what our experience is there below that layer of thought overlay.
And never taking anything for granted.
No.
The moment you think that you are landing somewhere, oh, now I know it, then we will be ready to poke you into the other direction so you get a new insight, because we can never land anywhere. Whenever we land somewhere, there's an underlying belief that is telling the I, that the ego, that I'm right. Now I know. And then
Mhm.
we're ready to poke you and ask you, are you sure about that? Are you sure? So how about,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you so
So thank you
much.
so much. That was a good
Thank
meeting.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. All right. Maybe one last quick one if somebody has one.
And if anybody is seeing this, I know it's coming out on Sunday. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. If
Yeah.
you guys have any questions at all, then feel free to come to our inquiry group. The next one is the 26th of August. And we're happy to do inquiries like the one we just did with Anya.
And basically, if you email me at unfetteredmindfulness@gmail.com, I will give you access to everything.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a question. Hi, Anya.
It's been a while.
Yeah. Yeah, if no one else has a question. I had a question before we started this meeting. I thought, oh, I want to ask this question. So um, I'm in the process of, well, I watched your video, Pernille, about 200, it's called 200 Hidden Signs.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
What's the rest of the title?
Yeah. Yeah, it's 200 hidden signs of autism and ADHD.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'm 57. I saw this video and I think I could check
Yeah.
lot of those things you mentioned. So I'm now in the process of, oh,
assessment.
might I be autistic? But I also see that this could be another identity I'm. So
Absolutely.
I see it's important to accept and acknowledge, you know, how this system works.
Yes.
But I see how it can be another distraction, or so. Maybe you could speak a little bit about that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm Asperger's. I'm autistic, and that means that the way that I perceive the world is different than the way that other people perceive the world. And in making the awakening curriculum, it's been super useful that the way for example, I have synesthesia, which is normally you see colors and you hear sounds and you smell foods. With synesthesia, I smell emotions, and I
certain letters have certain
colors. I see, for example, if I see the number 8, it's always yellow. So there's like an overlap in the sensory experiences because my brain is different. And it's not the only thing. There are so many different things. There's so many things. It's a whole gift on its own. But the way that we perceive the world as autistic and ADHD is different because the brain was pruned differently. The synapses were pruned differently. I forgot what I wanted to say with that. Yes, what I wanted to say is that, again, it's not somewhere that you can land. It's an understanding of you perceiving the world differently. For example, I'm not good at sarcasm. I don't understand sarcasm always. Sometimes I do, but not always. I am not good at understanding social cues, for example. I'm not good at reading between the lines, which before I became aware of being autistic, that was a huge issue because a lot of people perceive me as rude or perceive me as, in a conversation with, if people, they go like, okay, but that was nice. Then all neurotypicals know that that was the end of the conversation. Autistic people don't pick up on that. We're just still seated with our cup of tea and not getting up because we don't perceive different. We perceive the things differently. So being assessed and understanding that you're autistic or ADHD, it's helpful when you want to heal in reverse, when you want to heal the past. That there are lots of things that you suddenly realize. I had a friend where he said that I was such a dysfunctional neurotypical person until I found out I was autistic. Now I'm a very functional autist. And that's the thing, that when you understand that different rules apply, you perceive the world differently, you really cut yourself slack. You really perceive yourself differently and with much more forgiveness and compassion than previously, because it's like if you were colorblind, you cannot be on your case for not being able to see the color red, because it's just not how your biology is. As an autist, my biology is different, and I'm not on my case for not understanding things. I just don't understand it. So it's important to be assessed or to be curious if you think that you're on the spectrum. Learn all the things that is typical for us, the way that we perceive it, and forgive yourself. Really heal yourself in reverse. It's not a place to land. You cannot land there. It's not a place where you suddenly, like we just said to Klaus, that question everything. Except if you're autistic, then don't question anything. It's not how it is. You always need to question everything. And for example, that things are in a certain way, for me, it's just the way that it is. It doesn't mean that I shouldn't still question how things are perceived. Yeah, that was a bit humbly bubbly.
Yeah, that was good.
And maybe what's nice to know is that in your community, there are a lot of neurodivergent people.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's really also nice to have a community where there's a broader view than just the neurotypical one. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's true. We have a lot of neurodiverse people. So they're in our Discord community, there's lots of talks about synesthesia, understanding the world differently. We have a lot with aphantasia. That's people that hasn't got an inner dialogue. They don't inner visual. They don't have, for example, if I ask you to close your eyes and visualize a tree, people with aphantasia can't do that. So, and we have a lot of people that are on the spectrum in different ways, and it's just nice to be met. It's nice to know that you have a place to go where other people, they go, I absolutely recognize that. I completely see you. It's exactly how I feel. So yeah, it's true. We have a lot of people on the spectrum in our community.
It's a good community.
Yeah. And it's also, the Awakening curriculum was made by an autist, so it's very structured. You can be absolutely sure that has been done lots of research in before anything was put up, and it's made very structured, and it's easy to work with because it's in small boxes, small neat boxes when you do the curriculum.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Oh,
We
thank
could
you.
just hang out with
Thank you
you
so much. Yeah.
another
Thanks
90
for
minutes or
inviting us.
more.
Yeah. Thank you
It's
for
really a
inviting us.
pleasure
Oh,
to have
Erska,
you had.
raise your hand.
There's a clapping, I think.
Oh, thank
fuck,
you.
sorry.
Thank
It's
you.
a clapping of the hands. There have been some thank yous in the chat, and yeah, glad you were here, and yeah,
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you again for having
Yeah,
us.
thank you
It's
so much
been
for
a real
having us.
pleasure.
It's been lovely.
Mm,
Lovely. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out. We're here.
perfect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank-
Bye.
Thank you for watching our satsang. We hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to join us live, please remember you can do so by visiting our website at awakening-together.org. We'd love to see you in the sanctuary. Again, our website is awakening-together.org. Remember to click the bell for more notifications and subscribe.